Okay, everything is working smooth. You have a buyer. You are the seller. And you have a contract price for $300,000 as an example. So what happens when the buyer finally does their home inspection and everything goes okay? They go through the process of going to the lender to obtain the mortgage so they can pay you for the house. And during this process, the lender for the buyer orders an appraisal. So they can come to the house and making sure that the value of the property is the same or less than what they're lending money to the buyer. So in this case, the ideal situation will be that the house will appraise for $300,000 because you're selling it for $300,000 and everything is good for you. And obviously, you know, if you're selling the house for $300,000 and the appraisal comes up for $320,000, you made a mistake. You put the house in the market for a lot less than what really is worth, you know. So in that case, there's nothing you can do. But you will never find out, because if the house appraises for $320,000, the buyer, the only thing they have to tell you is, hey, everything's okay, we go into closing and we'll perform all the paperwork so we can give us the keys of the house. You will never know how much your house will appraise. But if the appraisal value comes less than the selling price, in this case, let's say the appraisal comes up to $275,000. In that case, the buyer is going to show you the appraisal and say, hey, this is what your house is worth. It's not $300,000, it's $275,000. So in a way, they're going to ask you to drop your price to $275,000. And what are your choices then? What are you going to do? Because you have in one case, you may need $300,000 for your house. You cannot sell it for $275,000. And at the same time, from the buyer's perspective, the buyer is not going to pay you $25,000 more for a house that is worth only $275,000. And the bank is not going to allow that anyway. So the point is moot. You know, you are not going to have a closing. You are not going to have a sale because the bank is not going to lend the money to the buyer because the sales price is wrong. The sales price should be $275,000, which is the maximum on the appraisal value. What are your options then? Number one, you can contradict that appraisal by hiring your own appraiser and asking, can you come and appraise my house? You know, obviously you're not going to tell them, can you make sure you appraise it for $300,000, because that's not going to happen. The appraiser has their license online, and they're going to making sure they're going to on the line. I'm sorry, has their license on the line on this, and making sure that they do the right thing so they can appraise the property properly based on the regulations and laws and policies that they have to make sure that they take care of the bank's best interests. In this case, you're the bank, you're the owner, so they're going to give you a price that is really the true price of the property based on their opinion. Will it be the same? Most likely it will be around the same. Maybe $305,000 or maybe $295,000, because no two appraisals will come the same. But if the appraisal comes out to $300,000, just like you have a price, then you can maybe contest the price with the lender again and says, I want you to reappraise it and do something because the first appraisal was not correct. And you may be able to convince him to do another appraisal so they can go forward. In most cases, a lender, when they have two appraisals in their hand, and one of them says $300,000, the other one says $275,000, they are going to pick the lowest one. They're not going to do an average of the two. They're going to pick the lowest one because they want to protect themselves when they lend the money to the borrower, which is the buyer. So your options are very little. If you made a mistake and the appraisal comes very low, then the real option that you may have is to lower the price of your house and go ahead and get it over with. Sell it, because the appraisal comes out to $275,000, and that's really what your house is worth, give or take maybe a few $1,000s. But regardless, what is more valuable in this case? Because if you decided, I don't want to sell you so these people walk away, you're going to put your house back in the market, are you expecting to sell your house for $25,000 more than you know your house is worth? How many buyers are going to be convinced? And even if you convince somebody would have come out with a $300,000 contract, again, what if you run into the same problem? You're going to run into the same problem, and you just wasted 3 to 4 to 5 months of selling your property. So you need to reevaluate the reasons why you're selling your property. And if you cannot sell it for less than $300,000, then you should maybe put it in the market for rent, or if you can qualify from a financial point of view, you may be able to qualify for a short sale. If you cannot sell it, that means that you're upside down. And if you have to have $300,000 at the end, you may have to sell it for $275 in a short sale and ask the bank for the permission. Obviously, all those things have to be taken in consideration, but ain't normal. When it comes down to appraisals, they are the ones that make the success of a sale or the failure of a sale. They're the ones who dictate how much really the house is worth. So let me give you a good piece of advice before you finish watching this tape. And it is, if I'm putting my property as a for sale by owner, I want to stand on a platform of good standing to be able to negotiate a price with other people, with people that want to buy my house. And before I go guessing my house should be worth $299 or $305 or $285, I don't want to make that mistake, because a $5,000 mistake is a $5,000 mistake. If I sell my house for $300,000 and they tell me the appraisal come out very good, I don't know if the house may appraise for $305, $310. I should have sold the house for $305, $310. So how can you make sure you can sell the house to what really is worth? Do an appraisal before you put it in the market. It's only $300 to $500 you have to pay an appraiser. Get the appraisal. It's not going to cost you a lot of money, but what it's going to do is going to save you a lot of money, because you're selling your property to the maximum value, and you can stick to your guns when someone's trying to negotiate and saying, I want to pay you a lot less. No, I know my house is worth this much money because I have an appraisal, so you can negotiate with leverage because you have something backing you up. That was my advice to you. Hopefully this helped you.